Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of social media accounts. Also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's see, looking at the put to call ratio right now, it is at 0.55, really nothing to speak of. It's on the lower side. So probably a lot of people are looking for a pop this week, which probably does make sense. But before we get into that, looking at the economic calendar for the week, Monday the 29th, don't see anything. Tuesday the 30th, Chicago PMI, consumer sentiment. That's about it. Wednesday, we got ISM, PMI, and final manufacturing and JOLTS job openings. And we have FOMC at 2 o'clock with Powell at 2:30. So Wednesday will be a busy day. Thursday, unemployment claims. That's about it. Friday, unemployment rate, services PMI, non-farm employment change, stuff like that on Friday. So Wednesday on is going to be where it's going to be very busy. Monday and Tuesday, it's probably not going to do anything. If anything, we'll probably gap and grind. With that said, we get the VIX up. The VIX had a big red candle on last week, so shot up over 20 and it's getting slammed down. So if the next 2 days it chops, they're probably going to the chopping, even if it's slightly a little bit or it's completely sideways, that's more than enough to get VIX to drop $1 or $2 very, very easily. So the gap and grinds, we can definitely bring VIX down to 13. You get a gap down here to fill between 13 and 1350. So we could definitely fill that gap before Wednesday. So definitely keep an eye on VIX filling the gap. So in order for that to happen, like I said, SPY would need to chop, which is over 500, and it's closed over the 20 EMA on the daily. Bounced off the 20 EMA on the weekly. So what I'm looking for, we're in a bear flag. We get the drop right here, the flag right there. So if it gets below 500 or 495, we could definitely see a more significant drop. But Powell wants a soft landing, so they'll probably run it up to 515 or 520. For FOMC, and then they'll slam it with no rate cuts for 2024. Everybody knows there's going to be no rate cuts for 2024 except the market. The market's the only one that is holding out hope for it, which is the market's stupid. And this doesn't look at, it's not realistic whatsoever in its outlook, unless it's looking 2 or 3 years ahead. Then it's getting way ahead of itself. But this whole rally right here was for 2024 rate cuts, and we haven't gotten one yet, and we're not going to get any. If we do, if we get one, it'll be in September for elections to make Biden look good, but I don't think we're even going to get that. Inflation's rising. So with that said, we could gap and grind. We could gap up to 510 plus, and then gap and grind to 515. Then we could gap up and grind to 520. And then we could just, FOMC could be a complete shit show. So that's what I'm expecting could happen. I mean, if it doesn't gap and grind, I'll be very, very surprised if that does happen. If we do end up dropping hard, then I think that we're going to pop for FOMC. So basically, whatever Monday, Tuesday, in the middle, the first part of Wednesday does, FOMC is going to usually do that. Usually do the opposite. So if we gap and grind Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday, we're going to slam on FOMC. And if we drop going into FOMC, we're gonna pop and shoot up. So that's what it usually happens for the last several years with FOMC. It doesn't happen every single time, but usually that's a good indication of how things usually end up panning out. But we'll see how it is, and we'll take it day by day. With that said, Watch SPY over 510 for push to 515 to 520. And for some reason, if it does, market doesn't decide to crap itself, we'll watch it for underneath 506 for push to 505, 500, 495. Breaks 495, 490, 485 is definitely in the cards on that. So definitely keep an eye on that. Tesla had a pretty good earnings. Well, I mean, the earnings was bad, I think, right? Yeah. No, they said the earnings was pretty good. Well, anyways, it gapped up regardless. So I would watch Tesla over 172 for push to 175, 180. Gets over this 180 area, we could see it push to 200 on Tesla. So definitely keep an eye on Tesla. Apple, I don't really like Apple whatsoever, but it did bounce off lower Keltner channel, and it's rejecting the RCT trend line on the daily. So, but it needs to get over, let's see, we'll round up and say 171, gets over 171. We can see a push to 172, 174, 176, 178, 180, basically every $2 because Apple does not move. That's why I do not trade it. I hate it. It doesn't move whatsoever. It's just garbage. So I only call it out on the watch list so people that do want to trade it can trade it. Amazon, monster tail candle right here. Gap down, then it gap back up. So I would watch Amazon over 180 or even over 181, push 185, 190. And this is where it's been rejecting the 190 area. So, but we get any strength. I mean, this could really get going and hit 200 Amazon. So definitely keep an eye on Amazon. BA. The weekly is just not doing too well. It's almost hit below, well, at 30. Well, I probably would have fit at 30 if it stayed at 160 where it was down here for earnings, but kind of get an inverted head and shoulders. You get the left, you get the head and a slight right shoulder right here. So I'd watch it over 169 for push to 170, 175, 180, 185, 190, 195, and 200. 200 is going to be a big area. Well, actually, 195 to 200 would be a big area on BA. So definitely keep an eye on that. Meta, get off my screen. Meta had a sharp gap down, but this thing could end up popping. You get like an ascendant triangle going on right here. It's making higher lows and flattening out at the 445. So if it gets over 445, we could end up seeing a pretty significant pop to at least 560, maybe even 470 on that. So it's got a pretty big gap right there to fill on Meta. So definitely keep an eye on that. Microsoft gap down, it gap back up, then it dropped when it gapped back up. So yeah, it gapped down, it popped, gapped up, then it dropped, kind of crazy. So I would watch it. I need 405 for a gap fill to 400. And if it does manage to get a little bit of strength, I would watch it over 410 for push to 415 and 420 on Microsoft. Microsoft pretty much flip a coin. It did 400 just got bought. You know, this is where it's been getting bought right here at the 400. Got bought and popped, dropped, got bought and popped, dropped, got bought and it's popping. So we're going to go back to 420 or we're going to actually go back down to 380. We'll have to see on Microsoft. It's kind of a flip of the coin right now. So Netflix. Netflix. Gap down from earnings. Kind of get like a head and shoulders going on here on the arrow. You get the left, you get the head and the right shoulder. So with that said, because it's a head and shoulders, I would watch it underneath 555 or push the 550 to the 540 area. And if it does manage to get down to the 540, 535 area, it's got a gap fill down here down to 500. But also I'd keep an eye on it. Maybe the head and shoulders is just a fake out, and I'd watch it over, we can even say Fridays or Thursdays high at 567 for push to 580. Gets over 580, we could fill a gap to 600 plus on that. So Netflix head and shoulders favors the downside, but I mean, we've seen so many bearish setups that end up being a strong move. So just keep an open mind on Netflix. Go either way. So that's going to do it for the watch list, and thanks for watching.